and we eventually got to quite a big deal, to the point where we actually made every front page in the news, every front page of the newspapers for 2 weeks running, and we just said, and we hit the ground. But literally, I'll say the next landmark was one of my best friends being murdered. First out of my friends to actually die. Yeah, he was murdered by my side in conflict. Got stabbed in the heart like a couple of days before our GCSE exams.
Where are people getting guns? Like, it sounds stupid, but I mean, like now, if you said to me like try and get a gun,
yeah,
I would have no idea.
You know, and then as soon as it was out, he literally put it to the passenger window and then just fired.
At any point, did you see any of this and think, that's power? I want to get involved. Like that's power right there.
I think you're on. I do think you're on. I must be honest. Like, that is a very good observation. But now that I've seen what I've seen, I've got to stop this.
Yeah.
This is not it. You know, and I let them know. And I said, I'm sorry. I apologized. Like, literally, genuine, heartfelt apologies. I was dishing them out. Like, maybe this ain't life. You know, I think this is pretty much the opposite. This is death. Like, I've got friends that's been sentenced. My friend actually got sentenced to the highest any young person in this country has ever been incarcerated to in its history of being a country. Like, literally 45 years in prison.
First thing, thank you so much for coming down.
Pleasure,
chatting.
man.
Really, really appreciate it. So, the way in which I found your stuff,
yeah,
and I found out about you, was your TED Talk.
Yeah.
Something I've always been super interested in. I'm obsessed with listening to TED Talks.
Good man.
And I got like 3-4 minutes into your talk and I had to stop.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched the last 5 minutes.
Okay.
And the reason why, as soon as you started speaking, I was like, I need to chat with this guy. I need to meet this guy. And whether it's on video, whether it's off video, whatever it is, we need to have a conversation. Yeah. I need to know more. And I don't want to let the rest of the talk educate me on your story, because it's so different to my reality of what I've had growing up that I don't want to know, so that when we sit down together, I can find out. It's here. So, for everybody watching, with Karl Lokko, and Karl introduces himself as the man that should be dead.
Here.
And he's been shot at more times than he's had birthday parties.
Yeah. True.
That's it. That's all my notes done. That's it. That literally, you saying those 2 lines, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We need to chat.
Yeah.
So how you doing? You
I'm
good?
all right, you know, my man. And I'm not dead. Yeah. You know? It should be dead. I'm grateful I'm not, though. So yeah, man, we're here for it, man.
How did it start? Listen, all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Childhood.
Yeah.
What was your early stage upbringing? Like 3, 4? Where are you from?
Do you know what? I don't come from a generic kind of situation. Like, it's not a generic backdrop of mum's on a substance, like dad's not around. My mother and dad were both very present, you know.
Yeah.
My mum was a teacher in Ghana initially, before she migrated here. Her mother was a teacher before her. So academics was something that was exalted in my house, you know. Yeah. So I couldn't get the trainers I wanted, but there was always like informative books and kind of like just shelves full of material that me and my brother would have to digest, you know. And I enjoyed that, you know. So it was kind of pretty normal. We would dance and sing in our living room. Like, I mean, every Saturday, that was just a normal ritual. I don't know if you know Cotton Eye Joe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course.
Come on.
For me and my house, we had a stage my mum built. Yeah. We danced to S Club.
Okay. Yeah. No, S Club
that was big in my house.
It was big in my Steps was big.
Yeah.
The only albums my dad has ever bought me in my entire life, and it's gonna sound a bit backwards, is Bewitched.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Eminem.
Unreal. I had Eminem posters all over my wall growing up.
And Doggy Style Snoop.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 albums my dad has bought me in my entire life, you know. Nice. So yeah, that was pretty normal, chilled, nice. Parents don't use profanity.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, up to this day, I've never heard my father swear.
Wow.
Like, that don't happen, you know. just decent people, go to work. But the work was excessive. So my mother would work like 14-hour days, you know, like 15-hour days, you know. So it was intense. You know, the only time I would see my mother was probably the Tupperware she left in the microwave for us to heat up. And then when she would get back in from work, then she would, you know, do her bit and then go back to sleep and repeat, you know. So, but other than that, we were there, happy, content, Cotton Eye Joe, you know.
You were singing and dancing away. So how did it change from that until starting and getting involved in the gang culture?
Yeah. Do you know what? I lived initially on Cowley Estate, Cowley Estate, for those that don't know, is an estate on Brixton, Lambeth, South London. And it was a place where certain happenings were happening. Yeah. But I was unaware, oblivious, you know. As far as
how old are you at this point?
I'll say 10.
Okay.
About 10 years old.
But are you like going out, riding a bike around and stuff like that, kind of things?
But my mum and dad are really...
watching you?
Yeah, I could tell something. I couldn't put my finger on it exactly, but they'll be like, all right, up to that side and that side. It's as far as you can go. And then sometimes it'll be like, all right, cool, just today, you can only be on the balcony today. Yeah. And I'm like, but yesterday I was allowed outside. And I'm thinking the only thing that's different from today and yesterday are those guys that are there, you know, in their coats or whatever it is, hoodies on, but I don't know what they're up to. Don't look like they're up to anything bad. But my parents are clearly quite bothered by that, you know. And slowly but surely, I began to get exposed to.
You get aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
What was the first thing that you experienced that was like, okay, something's going on here?
There was a young lady that had a crush on my older brother, and he's like, me and him are 4 years apart. So I think at the time I was about 8 and he was 12. And they came to the front door. They asked me where Andrew was, which is my brother's name. And I was like, oh, he's not actually here. He's out with my mum. And they had gone far. And they kind of convinced me to go outside with them. You know, and I ended up going with them. And then they only just took me, I think it was like maybe 3 floors above. You know, because we lived on a
just for another flat.
Yeah. 3 floors above. Not even inside the flat, just on the balcony, just 3 floors above. And they just kind of kept me there, like, but not like against my will, but just kind of entertained me slightly. Yeah. Even though I'm like, I kind of need to get back. They're like, oh, no worries. Like, let's kind of chill with us. Basically, they were running a joke or a game of sorts where they basically wanted to get my brother's attention. So they thought it was okay to kind of keep me up there for whatever period of time. My mother and father ended up getting back, and also my brother, and then I'm not there, and then just the panic. And then they were told by a neighbour that I had gone with some kids on the estate. And just my parents' reaction to me going with them, you know, I could just tell that, maybe it's not safe. Yeah. I could tell that there was danger, and they felt danger. And I'd say that was in a really kind of soft, implicit way. I'd say explicitly, the first time I saw someone get shot, I was 12 years old, and that was playing goal to goal, where it says no ball games allowed. You know, we did makeshift kind of goalposts, taking off our jumpers, you know, coats, just playing football, you know. And I say we were playing football for about 20 minutes, maybe a bit longer than that, you know. And there was some young men that was not too far from us. And when our ball would roll over to them, they would just roll the ball back nicely and just seemed cool, you know. They were about maybe, at the time I was 12, or was I 11? I was 11 or 12, and they were about 15, 16. Probably the oldest there would be about 18. Yeah. And I saw put into the community, into the estate, and then I saw their energy change, you know. And then when their energy changed, they kind of all stood up. Then I saw bandanas coming out of back pockets, going over faces. I saw hoodies going over heads. And they just kind of...
And are you aware of what's happening at this time?
Not really. I could tell the energy change.
Just something, yeah.
Yeah, I could tell that it was... The change in energy was connected to the fact that...
The car
arrived, you know? And they were actually making their way over to the car, you know? And then I saw some words being exchanged. Didn't last no longer than maybe 10 seconds. And then... one of the young men pulled out a revolver out of his joggers, and literally it just felt like it was never ending. Just how long nose, it was a long nose, you know, it just took for I just remember it taking forever to kind of show itself fully, you know, and then as soon as it was out, he literally put it to the passenger window and then just fired, you know, and then the car tried to wheel spin out, and then it hit a pole, and then the two front wheels of the car were in the air, and then the guys are just running hysterically trying to get out the car, those that were in the car as passengers, and the driver, and then the shooter, and then the group of boys that he was actually with, they all dispersed, but then the shooter actually ran back to us and then took off his jumper, put it on one of our makeshift goals, literally took a brick from the wall, put the gun behind the brick, and then literally played goal to goal with us, told us to play footy with him. And I played footy with him with my mates for about maybe another 20 minutes after that. And the police came, and the police were like, yeah, basically, did you see anything? Like, where did they go? Like, what's happened? And then we pointed with him that way. You know,
you said it was him.
Yeah, no, didn't say it was him.
Oh, you didn't say it was him?
With him, the direction he said that the shooter went. You know, you know, and that was without. He didn't tell us when they come to do that. You know, it was. I don't know why. I think it's just kind of just instinct. Just said you kind of agree with the guy that you've just seen do that. You know, so literally we just kind of just all pointed, and then the police went that way. He waited about 2 minutes and then kind of spotted us all and said, yeah, all right, cool, yeah, nice. And then jogged on. Literally, that was the first time that I realized I wasn't in Kansas anymore. You know, that was the awakening to the reality of, growing up. Yeah.
Did you see that as like a massively negative, like, I need to get away from this?
I think the most honest answer I can give is that I didn't process it really.
You just didn't really, it was so extreme.
Yeah, there was no context for it. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know where to put it.
Like, did you go home and tell your family?
I didn't.
You didn't tell your family?
I didn't tell my mum and dad. I didn't. Because the main reason I didn't tell my mum and dad is because I knew they wouldn't let me go out and play again. You know, it was like, I'm 11, 12 years old. I just want to go out and play with my friends.
Have fun and play football, yeah.
Literally, ball games where it says no ball games allowed. You
know?
That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
So I knew if I told them that that's what had happened, that I wouldn't, they would, the little bit of freedom I had would be taken from me. So I didn't say it in a way that, I'm condoning what's happening here, or I even know what's happening here, or I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that at all. Just purely on the selfish level, did not want to be told that I can't go out tomorrow. It was the summer holidays, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted to play.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, when you're in the mindset of a 12-year-old, you do just process and think of things differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, super differently. So from that moment, what happened after that?
Yeah, the world broke. It's broken. I didn't even know there was guns. I'm being honest. It's not like we've grown up in like the States where you might have a family member that maybe owns a firearm and you know that people bear them. And then I hadn't seen much police officers up to that time with firearms, you know? I don't think I'd really acknowledged any, really, you know? Except for maybe when we're walking past like a certain building like the Palace or, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
see it on TV.
You know?
Pictures on
So for me, it didn't exist, really, you know? Yeah. And then not only to exist, but to be in my locality. And not only in my locality, but you know, people can be judge, sheriff, and executioner all by themselves. Like that was, I had a crash course.
Yeah.
So I do remember the world feeling very different after that day.
Yeah. And in your fun as well, in your safe game of football.
Yeah.
Now is not the same as what you thought it was.
Everything was broken.
Yeah.
And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It was broken.
How did you get from seeing it?
Yeah.
And trying to almost ignore it so that you could carry on having your fun.
Yeah.
To then being more involved? Is it?
I think you just said it, if I'm being honest. I went from seeing it to being it. Like, I think it is pretty straightforward, you know? Like, the next time something of that kind of magnitude happened, I was actually at a family friend's house that lived on the same court I was playing the no ball games where it says no ball games allowed.
Yeah.
So there's a family friend that lives on that court. Now the S8's been knocked over, the court was called yeah? So we were on and they're at like number 13 and by the end of the court's like number 19 or something like that. So it's not that big a court, you know, not so far. And some young men had actually, this is the alleged story that I was then filled in later on, was that some young men had actually come to target those young men that was out there, not connected to that direct incident, another separate incident. And they actually came with submachine guns, like literally, with Mac-10s. And I was in this family friend's house playing PlayStation, literally, like in their bedroom. And we just heard, and we hit the ground.
Of course.
Like it wasn't even fired at us. It weren't even so close to know, you know, it was far enough to know that it wasn't, that we weren't in immediate danger. It was weird, but yet we all dropped and rolled. It was such a weird kind of thing, but I just remember being on the floor.
Just instinct.
Yeah, just instinct until it stopped. And then we kind of got up to kind of inquire and to kind of see, and then that was like maybe 3 months after that situation. You know,
it's still the same kind of age of like 15, 16-year-olds.
Oh, you mean
who were doing
that were involved?
Yeah,
I would say from 15 to about 18. Yeah.
Where are people getting guns? Like, it sounds stupid, but I mean, like now, if you said to me like try and get a gun, I would have no idea. I wouldn't want to Google that shit.
Do you know, it's not
at 15 years old, 16, 17, even 18 years old.
Yeah.
A submachine gun. I mean, I feel like I'm sounding stupid.
Yeah. No, you're not. You're not. Because until those two incidents, that was pretty, they lived quite closely in terms of chronologically. Just a space of 3 months. Until those incidents, I was just as unaware and naive as yourself, you know. And if you ask me where they get the guns from, they're not manufacturing it on their estates. Sure. You know, there's no gun factories there. Yeah. So it's definitely not being created there. So yeah, there's a whole heap of kind of theories as to how they're finding their way onto our streets, you know, but they are there. And not scarcely either.
At any point, did you see any of this and think, that's power, I want to get involved, like that's power right there?
I think you're on. I do think you're on. I must be honest. Like, that is a very good observation. You know, a lot of people don't really see that.
Like control.
Away. Do you know what it is? I think I have to take it to how powerless we felt to then kind of explain why maybe that level of power or that twang of power was, at that time, we saw it as necessary, you know, or even conducive.
But also you have to remind yourself, you're at such a vulnerable age.
Yeah. Agreed.
When you're 12, 13, 14.
Absolutely.
A girl tells you that she likes a certain music, you now suddenly like that certain music.
That's,
let alone a gang that's literally controlling an area.
Yeah. No, it was, do you know, it's the powerlessness that started really early. You know, my mother and father were illegal immigrants, you know, coming into the country. So they never had a stay. So they would tread in a very different way, if you're getting what I'm saying. Yeah. The aim is to be seen and not heard. Yeah. You know, so just like if they got on the phone to someone that was indigenous to this country, I could tell by the way they tried to put on their voice or tried to put on their best. Like, I have a passport voice, you know? Yeah. So just that, it was just a constant flux of uncertainty, you know, and then also being, in terms of my parents both worked, and as I said, my mother worked 15-hour days, my dad worked 12-hour days, you know, so it's not like they were lazy, you know, they were, if anything, they were opposite, others, you know, but it still wasn't enough, you know, they were getting paid like really low. And so just the feeling of not being able to afford, you know, feeling powerless to be able to change, you know, our circumstance, that was constant, you know, that was really constant. So
and you were super aware that that could bring a change to everything.
I mean, I was, forget being super aware, I was starved of feeling, forget even powerful, that side of the spectrum, just feeling able. You know, I like, so just kind of yearning to feel able, that we possess an ability to control our situation, and not just have things happen to us, So on the flip of it, this did present a level of power. It changed the currency now. It was no longer how much you had in the actual account, but like violence became currency. So now you can go from being zero to having zeros, if you are. Yeah. There was mobility there, basically.
Am I right? You started a gang when you were 12?
I started it when I would say when I was, I had thoughts of joining a gang when I was 12.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, with those 3 months I had.
Were the people that were doing these things around you seen by your friends and yourself as like the cool kids, like the cool elders in the community, like the ones that were being looked up to, or was it seen as we need to stay away from those kids?
I think it was
by your friends?
Mix of both. It was a mix of both. So I had some friends that you could describe as imitators and others as initiators.
Mm-hmm.
Initiators came from, I would say, like the generic backdrop. Mothers on a substance, fathers not around, families been kind of involved in gangsterism and criminality. They were outside, up to no good for maybe 7, 8 years old. They're privy to that. So they would kind of see it with a kind of a different lens to us, But being an imitator coming from a house where that wasn't celebrated, welcomed, embraced in any way, it was all very much a bit scary. And my friendship group was probably made up of maybe 20% initiators and 80% imitators, I would say. So some of the group were like, they kind of understood that and were kind of more kind of forthcoming and weren't so scared, but the majority were. So I'll say it was mixed reviews, but definitely was romantic. There was a level of something romantic about it.
Yeah.
And that was given by the films, the movies. Bad Boys is always kind of,
That's something. Were that 80% acting as if they were part of the 20%?
Not initially. No. They would, no. You wanted some of maybe the immunity that was given to that 20%, because more people in the area knew them. They didn't have to, like, if my mother gave me, let's say, a tenner to go and get tomato puree from the corner shop.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to put that £10 note in my sock, because I am going to be patted on the way there. Like, have I got anything? Yeah.
Patted down to be mugged?
Yeah, to be mugged. And this is just in my locality, just going to the newsagents, So, the 20% would probably know a few people and be kind of involved slightly, so they're immune to that. So I think we all wanted to be immune, but it didn't matter whether it was through not having a dad there or anything. It was just what it afforded you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just norm, just getting patted down, going to the shop?
Normal.
So if you were carrying a mobile on you, gone?
Normal. That's just... Like, my mother bought me, I remember it was my mum and dad, they never spunk money on anything that's not kind of educational. Never. And I remember this one Christmas, they spunked money on an Apollo Plateau mountain bike. It was electric blue with silver handlebars. I mean, I was in love with this thing,
Look at his grin. They bloody love that thing.
I was in love with it.
I'm going to buy you one for Christmas this
year. Good man, please.
please.
So then I remember taking it to the, my mum and dad, quite rightly so, said only ride it in Kennington Park, and check in every kind of hour or so, just so we know. And Kennington Park weren't too far from where we lived, So, I did that. And then one day I went outside and then someone took it off me. That's just life. That's the norm. That's going to happen. Yeah. So.
Such a different reality for... I just can't picture that being the norm.
I get you. I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do understand what you're saying. Only because once upon a time it wasn't the norm.
Yeah.
So I do get what you're saying, but you become acclimatized pretty quickly. Sure. Yeah.
So did you get involved with a gang then? or did you?
I wasn't cool enough, my man.
you weren't cool enough.
I didn't make the cut. My older brother wasn't involved.
He wasn't involved at all.
No, my older brother actually was in that bracket with my parents. He also never had his stay. You know, he came over to the country when I was 5. He was 9 or 4 years apart. He was 9 years old. No, he came when either 8 or 9 when he came anyway. And yeah, he was given the whole speech about, you know, you can't go a hair wrong, because if you go a hair wrong, you know, you won't be here with us. So he had that to help kind of, even in that kind of situation, in that environment, he basically, he just couldn't subscribe.
Yeah.
You know, so I never had an older brother that could kind of validate me or give me a certain level of immunity. You know, we weren't the cool kids necessarily, you know. As I said, my dad had kind of restricted that I ride my bike there. He didn't want me fraternizing so much, you know. I just wasn't in, you know. So I just kind of initially thought, you know, I'm going to band together with a group of boys that aren't in, and maybe, you know, the company helps the situation, you know. So that was exactly how we started and how I started my...
So you made your own in because you couldn't get in?
Made my own in because we couldn't get in.
And how do you make your own in?
How did I start?
Why did you start? Did you purposely start?
Oh, I purposely
started?
No accident. Absolutely no. My ambition was to walk to and fro from the newsagent, to and fro from the bus stop, go to and fro from school.
Yeah.
Immune.
And no one could touch you.
I mean, it was my ambition, as well as getting like maybe good SATs and okay GCSEs and the rest of it. But that was my ambition. I wanted that. I just didn't want to live with that constant anxiety. You know, I didn't want that. So.
And did you feel that growing up, or did you know growing up the things you were experiencing were resulting in you feeling anxious or nervous, or was it so the norm that you weren't?
No. You are anxious when you are hiding coins in your socks. You are anxious when maybe you're on a bike that you know can just be taken from you. You are anxious, like it's anxiety.
But did you think that was something that everybody feels? Like, were you aware? That's what I'm saying. Were you aware
that 20% that maybe was initiated and had affiliation? Yeah, absolutely. I was aware that other people were feeling that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, other young men especially, and young girls also at that time. Yeah.
So what's the first thing?
In starting your own gang? What's the, you know?
Yeah.
It's your friends. So the initiation was cool.
Did you have a name?
Go through, I did. MAD.
MAD.
Yeah, it was an acronym for. Initially, it was just our names.
Okay, so there's 3 of you.
Just 3 of us. Yes, good man. So simple maths there. So literally, one of them was called Mercs. I was called Addict, and the next friend was called Drowsy. Drowsy was actually called Drowsy before we made the MAD. Mm-hmm. The M and the A, we just created it. Just
like the name of them.
I wasn't an addict at the time. You know, I later on became one, but I wasn't then, you know. So, it was just for the namesake, just to show you where we were. It's just boyish kind of, you know. Merc was colloquial. It was slang for hurting something, or, you know, just to murk it.
To get murked, yeah.
Or, so his name was Mercs, you know, and that was just it. Like, it was Mercs, Addict, and Drowsy. And automatically, overnight, we felt better.
Really? Just by having the name, having that. You 3 together.
Felt better.
But is that not... I would almost feel worse, because now you're putting yourself out there as like, we're out here, we're a...
No, misery likes company.
We're a gang now.
No, it's not like we're a gang here. We're kind of advertising it, coming... You know, there's no big yellow arches saying, come here and get us, you know?
But was there certain groups of people or gangs or that, I wouldn't know the words, watched out for certain areas?
No, we were that insignificant.
Yeah.
we were really insignificant, you know? This is just for us. No,
for sure.
You know? So now we went from being robbed individually to getting robbed together. Like, you know, that was the promotion. Other than that, nothing
There's
had happened.
No difference.
I mean, nothing had happened.
Yeah.
You know, so, but I'm talking on a very, like, just emotional,
mental level.
Yeah. Like, it just felt good, just knowing that we are together, we are part of a team, we're in this together, and there's potential we can climb out of the rut we're in. It was the potential that kept us going. I was always a visionary, always telling them that, tomorrow will be different. It was always tomorrow with me, and it still is always tomorrow. But I'm just about it will be different. And we began to realize that. We began to, instead of just giving over the phone or maybe letting them tap us straight away, we might put up some resistance. And then...
And was it the same people every time?
That was... Yeah, so it became a thing that, in the area, in your locality, you're going to know. It's kind of like the neighborhood bullies sort of thing, I don't know, you watch Friday?
No.
You need to watch the Fridays. Okay. Right? So there's Friday, next Friday, and Friday after the next. Yeah. And in all the films, there's one kind of block bully, and his name's Debo. Yeah, and he's just kind of, as you can imagine, like got muscles up to here and there.
On your bike.
I mean, he takes your bikes, he takes your jewelry, he take your weed if you got some, and we had like Debos in our area that would see me and know that I am a victim.
They can
come and get my stuff, So, yeah, it took a little maneuvering, but we got there eventually, I would it was just purely to defend ourselves. I weren't thinking about taking other people's stuff. Yeah. I'm just like, no, I want to keep my stuff.
Yeah, I just want to have the right
to... So then, it developed. And we eventually got to quite a big deal, to the point where we actually made every front page every front page of the newspapers for 2 weeks running in the UK. When I was 14. Yeah, literally front page. Every newspaper, 2 weeks.
For what kind of things?
I mean... it was called...
And is there still 3 of you at this point? Or is it grown? It's gone.
So we had to open up the bracket, I started... In my mind, immediately, it was... in my mind, it became quite apparent that there's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is kind of limiting us. Like, how can I open it? And I remember just going home one day, and I'm like... I told my brother, like, this is the issue I have. Like, I'm trying to open it. Some of my other mates and other guys want to join, And he was
But what's he like? Because he's not involved in this kind of stuff.
He's not involved, but he understands. It's
he gets what you're going through.
He gets what I'm going through, So he didn't see it as like it's going to end up in people dying and going to jail for life sentences. He never saw that far. As I said, young people, short-sighted, Yeah. So I just came back and I told him I got an issue. I want to keep the name MAD, but I want to open it up. And he said, that's simple. And I said, why is that simple? This is a mayhem and disaster. Zoom is opened, fixed. I said, right, look at that. Good man.
So he came up with it?
I mean, he came up with it.
Done.
Like, quickly. It was done. I went to school the next day and was like, look, it's open. Mayhem and disaster. I started, pushing out. I thought I was handing out salvation. I started giving, man, you can come in. What you been? Yeah, what? No, because, we can
And are you looking for, like, different skill sets? For people like big people on purpose, or are you just looking for people that want the positive, that they want they need to be helped?
I do feel as if I was looking for
people that were similar to you that wanted an out, and wanted to be respect,
and had the potential.
Yeah,
I weren't taking like maybe
the potential for what?
The potential to be able to hold their own and rep.
Yeah,
like potentially tomorrow, today, victim, but tomorrow.
Not a victim, yeah.
Not a victim, so that it went from 3 to about 60 in the space of maybe a month. Yeah, I was feverish with it, literally. It was just, and then so it was, and I would say I was feverish, the demand was high also.
Yeah, of course.
Like people did want, like I was pitching to them a vision of...
Or a dream.
Yeah, the dream.
The possibility of a better...
Yeah.
And are you at this point still seeing this as like a super like positive thing in terms of like I'm helping these people out? Like you are literally saving them from getting mugged every day.
I am the Pope. Like
and they're seeing you like that as well.
This is salvation. Yeah.
What were the headlines about? The newspapers. What were they about?
So fast forward now.
How old are you at this point?
I'm 14.
Shit, still so young.
Yeah.
And you've got 60 employees.
I mean...
in your gang.
I mean, yeah. Well, I kind of pitched the model of shared ownership, But you could say that. But 60 of us. And I quickly learned that actually numbers weren't the name of the game. It was more having effective numbers, So I started to be a bit more selective in my selection, process. But
and is it down to you? Like, are you like... I have no idea how this kind of thing works. If someone wants to join, say I'm one of the 60.
Yeah.
I want Morgan to join over here. Yeah. Am I asking you, or am I just like, don't you worry, man, you can come in?
You're kind of asking me.
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fucking pressure on you as well.
I mean, it was
mad pressure. You're 14.
14.
At 14.
Got at least
I was learning new skateboard tricks.
You see, I wanted to. I was still watching X Games on whatever channel it was, Eurosport.
Yeah.
You know, I did have that side, but the reality didn't dictate that I had that luxury, you know? So I had to put my energy elsewhere. But literally, like at 14, we had gotten hold of some imitation firearms. You know, we then began to...
So these, do they fire? Or they look like firearms?
Some looked and some were what we called rebores. So just not able, they hadn't maybe been drilled through. They were used for other purposes, like so they weren't able to discharge basically.
Yeah.
You know,
so you couldn't shoot somebody with it.
No. So we had imitation replica firearms that weren't able to discharge, and we had gas guns that had a gas chamber rather than, you know, gunpowder and all the rest of it. So, and but they felt they were just as heavy.
It looked the same.
You know, we began kind of really knowing how to navigate with these firearms, you know, being able to keep it on us concealed, knowing where to park it, knowing when to park it, you know, knowing how to transport it, where to make it sleep, you know. So, yeah, it became, it was weird. It was a weird transition but then it did feed that powerlessness and began to feel powerful. Began to feel like, this is not just about not being a victim. Like, I want to be able to give immunity to whoever I choose. I want to call some shots. Yeah. You know, ambition began to kind of...
Well, then you become your name. You're Addict of Power.
Yeah, Addict of Power. But I had changed the name now to Locks. Okay. Which is an abbreviation of my surname, which is Lokko. But back then, you start asking, why are you Locks? And I say, because I got things on lock. But yeah, it was just an abbreviation of my surname. So we ended up basically taking pictures. A friend of mine was really early when it came to the internet. He was actually a relative of Ronnie Biggs, the famous railway robber. He's a huge railway robber. Ronnie Biggs, that was his relative. You know, so he kind of had that kind of twang. You know, we started doing that kind of criminality together. And he found the internet really early and knew how to make free websites. So in the pictures we were taking, he just kind of uploaded it onto a free website platform.
Pictures of you guys like holding guns and stuff?
Holding guns and just chilling on our block. And
at this point, the police not getting involved at all?
Not yet, not at this point. Yeah, not at this point. You kind of went undiscovered until at school they started visiting the site quite a lot. And then the police got wind of it because the teachers then reported it. And then I ended up getting nicked. But then it all fed into the persona because they come and get me in my classroom and all the rest of it.
And you're secretly loving that.
You know, I mean, that was free PR. You know, that was kind of like that.
Pushes the name even more.
You know?
Yeah.
And then, obviously, I kind of spoke to my friends and said, listen, this is what we're going to do. Feign kind of absolute innocence, which it kind of was, but we were slightly aware. But I said, just feign innocence. Just say we'll just copy and rap videos. Like, literally, it will blow over. And it did. They just asked us for the firearms. We ended up handing them in. After handing them in, we got a slap on the wrist. And then it was all put to bed. And then about 8 months later, the media got wind of it. Because they actually couldn't get it off the internet. So they tried. Like, we tried to get it down, it weren't coming down. The police tried to get it down, couldn't get it down. So then literally was out there still on the internet, public domain. And then 8 months later, the press got hold of it and they just had a field day. It was called Gang Terrorism websites. And literally, it was everywhere. I woke up in the morning with my brother kind of pushing a newspaper in my face. It was like a Saturday morning. I was kind of still had sleep in my eye. And I just saw myself on the front page of like The Sun, Daily Mail, and all of it. You know, it was a weird time. You know, but by that time, I'd already got a whole heap of stick from my school, from my parents. Punishment season was over. Yeah. So now I was almost kind of relishing in it. I was like, wow, look. And then that was putting out the image of us being the only kind of 14-year-olds in London with a working pump action shotgun. You know, so again, free PR. you know.
That's literally how you saw it.
I mean, that's what else was there? How else was I supposed to see it? You know, I didn't kind of realize that was a huge like just lack of responsibility on their behalf, because a lot of the pictures they were showing our faces, you know, they were actually putting us at risk at that age there, but I wasn't seeing it then. Again, I'm 14 years old with this one kind of ambition to kind of be immune or feel a certain level of power, you know, and yeah, it felt like it was serving that.
Are you relating this back at all to when you're standing on the balcony and you're seeing the kids down at the bottom and your mum saying, don't go near those guys? Are you aware that you're now those guys?
I am.
You are aware?
Yeah, I am actually. I am aware. Yeah.
And you're okay with that?
I don't think I was okay with it, if I'm being honest. You know, I wasn't. Because it was huge. I was transgressing against kind of what my parents instilled in me.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a comfortable, transition at all. No. I ignored it though.
Yeah. Just pushed it to one side, yeah, and just silenced it. So what happens next? You're on the front page of every newspaper for 2 weeks.
Literally 2 weeks running. Sky News, and just kept on. It was like the gift that just kept on giving. It was to the point where it was actually becoming quite worrying for me.
Did you have a lot of interest from other people, from other gangs?
Initially it was like, yeah, this is awesome, but then I'm like, bloody heck, what's next then? And I felt huge pressure. You know, I just remember feeling huge pressure and anxiety, you know. So it was like it was a really weird.
Are you having people come to your house? Are you still living at the same place?
Still living at the same place, yeah.
Same place?
Same place, yeah. There's no money to move. It was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's weird. Whenever, I must be honest, because I've glossed over quite a fair bit. You know, so whenever I do revisit it, it's weird because I kind of feel I'm kind of aware of some of what I was feeling then, but maybe not, I don't know, not willing to open myself up to.
Yeah.
I do remember now feeling very anxious, but because I had to put out the persona of I got this under control, you know, I'm a leader. You know, I'm leading us somewhere, we're going somewhere, this makes sense. Yeah. Even though it weren't making no sense, I had to kind of be the one that was holding it together. I had to keep my cool. So, yeah, I just faked it till I made it, you know. But now that I'm kind of revisiting it with you, I was drowning. Definitely drowning.
And just not letting anyone know that you're drowning.
No, I weren't feeling, no, you wouldn't get over, You can't show that level of vulnerability. Yeah.
You're still 14 at this time?
14 at this time.
Everywhere in the newspaper?
Everywhere in the newspaper. Now actually becoming. You know, so I always kind of describe it in this way of whenever I left my house, I put on a mask. Yeah, not a physical mask, but I put on this mask.
A
persona.
Yeah.
You know, this alias. I was Lokko. At home, I'm Karl. You know? And that's because at home, I'm able to be Karl. Being Karl serves me. When I go outside, being Karl doesn't actually serve me at all. You know?
And you're fully aware that you're doing this? Which one do you want to be? Which one do you want to be?
Oh.
Or do you have to be?
Do you know, it was a bit of both. I want to be Lokko because Lokko is a powerful character. You know, he's one that's immune and also, you know, esteemed, you know? Whereas Karl, I had issues with Karl, you know, because he was very timid, you know, just very timid, like a bit of a crybaby.
Yeah.
You know, mommy's boy.
Yeah.
You know, all the rest of it. You know, he was good at the stuff.
Well, he's a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah, he's a 14-year-old
boy.
And I had an issue with, you
didn't want to be a 14-year-old boy.
Because that didn't serve. You know, not that sort of boy anyway. Rather kind of like a Lokko boy. Yeah, so, yeah. But literally, I'll say the next landmark was one of my best friends being murdered. First out of my friends to actually die. Yeah. He was murdered by my side in conflict. Got stabbed in the heart like a couple of days before our GCSE exams. So that was huge. That also kind of shook my world and our worlds and the world. And you know, it's another crack.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
And does something like that, in that moment,
yeah,
are you thinking, this isn't what I signed up for? This is not it.
Yeah.
Or are you thinking the opposite and
it's
aggression?
You're gonna hear I am more. Listen, it's only gonna be conflict from me. I mean, it was both, and I know that doesn't make any sense, but it wasn't situations we could make sense of. You know, so one part of me was saying that, you know what, this ain't what it's meant to be. Like, I would rather have my friend and be bullied. like
sure,
you know, like
sure.
That's my friend, that's my brother, you know,
Yeah.
like, and especially through gang association, like your friends become closer than friends, you know. We transgress lines together, you know, like there's a camaraderie is probably second to none.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like some military level of bonding, you know. So I'm like, I would rather have him back. But then there's also another part of me that's saying he's gone because we were too kind, too soft, too timid. You know, we need to be less remorseful. You know, we need to be more aggressive. You know, we need more guns. We need more knives, you know, more violence. You know, there's that voice also. You know, it's a whole heap of mixed messages. You know, a whole heap of if you see me smile, yeah, if you don't smile, you cry. So at awkward points, you're going to see me smiling.
Oh, of course.
So don't read the smiling. Smiling's how you keep the composure, you know?
Yeah.
It was heavy. It wasn't nice, you know? And then you go from, we kind of like, you have situations where there's been conflicts now, you know? By that time, as I said, I was in year 11, you know, 15, 16 years old. There's conflicts. Yeah. We've had some, you know, of our own. You know, I am carrying a knife, you know, like that was a part of my
just
uniform.
Everywhere.
Like it's a part of my uniform, you know? And, you know, people get stabbed. Like my friends have been stabbed. I got cut on my face when I didn't even put it as a landmark. You know, I got cut on my face before my friend died. You know, that's what I'm saying, but that's where we're from, you know, that happens. So, but yet you don't die. It was the first one that resulted in death. So that, bro, I was like, my days, you die. Like, there's no more him.
Did you feel invincible up until that point?
No. You're aware you're not invincible. You know, so because it's weird. It's a conflict, my man, because at one point I'm feeling so powerful. On one hand, I'm feeling so powerful. But then I'm so aware of mortality. You know, because people are what we used to call dropping. People are dropping, you know. They are dying. So mortality, you're aware of it, but then you kind of deem yourself, or you've tried to create a self or you that's powerful, you know, or a situation that you're able to kind of withstand against the mortality, but you know that everyone's going to have to die. Yeah. You know, so it's kind of, you're just fooling yourself and seeing how, you know, It's just absolute conflict. Absolute, yeah.
So that happens at 15.
Yeah. Couple days before GCSEs. Literally, not.
And you take your GCSEs?
You have no choice, my man. So look, remember, I don't think we actually said this on camera, but when I was young, I was diagnosed a genius, yeah? So I was doing my year 9 SATs in year 6, and I have to stay behind for further maths, further science. This is primary school and initially the start of secondary school, you know? I'm heavily dyspraxic, so I've got a capacity and an ability to regurgitate facts, statements, sentences, and our British schooling system says you are a genius if you can do that, you know? So I was doing that, and I was doing that really well. So my parents have always kind of looked at me because they believe in like the London American dream, like there is meritocracy, and you know, like the best will kind of be sieved out, and you know, you'll find your place in society, be able to be a contributor, and also well looked after and be able to look after those you love, you know. So following that model, I was always being kind of looked upon by my parents essentially as maybe the meal ticket. You know, they could tell that in terms of academics, like, maybe this is,
for sure.
You know, this is the answer.
Yeah, and
you know,
you're given the genius label.
Yeah, you know,
you're the golden ticket.
Absolutely, you know. So, and even if I didn't have that, your parents kind of feel as if that, there's a trajectory that you're on. And even though the reality is that you're in a situation, you should grieve at this moment, something has just happened that's going to impact you and change you forever, the show must go on. You don't have the luxury to stop at the bottom. So you have to be able to afford the luxury of pausing. And we couldn't afford that. So my parents are well aware, they're trying to do their best. They took me into school, they waited for me to get out the exam and pick me and take me home. They're present, but I still had to sit my exam. And I just remember going into my exam and just writing my friend's name on every answer of my exam.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing, I can't give you nothing. I can't give you what I ain't got, So, did that. The only exams that I actually I was snapped out of that kind of that coma of pain was for English Lit and Lang. I just love words. I loved words back then as well. So I ended up writing for my actual Lit and Lang, and they're the only ones that I did pretty well in. All the rest of it, I just kind of intentionally flunked it. I really didn't care, So yeah. Did
you go to college?
Yeah.
You did go to college as well.
I went to college. I got kicked out my first day of college.
Your first day?
First day. I think it's a record, even for I'm not sure. Yeah, I got kicked out on my first day of college.
What for doing?
It was at that time, it was the second biggest riot in Croydon until the London riots. Yeah. Yeah, literally. And that's a long story, but yeah, I got kicked out first day.
And didn't go back?
They didn't let me back. So I couldn't get back into that college. My mother actually, she went to Lambeth College in Clapham and basically just, with no pride, begged.
Yeah.
Daily. I mean, to the point where I'm pretty sure they went to call police to get her off the premises. And my mother broke all the rules. She would just come in and say, "Trust me, my son is excellent. Please." And eventually they ended up giving me a test to take.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a numeracy and literacy test, and they asked me to take it. And then I scored really, really high, and they were confused because I didn't get the 5 GCSEs, 5 A to Cs. So I weren't able to then do A levels. So then when I was going to this college, which was John Ruskin College in Croydon, I weren't doing A levels. I was doing a BTEC course. So now,
what were you studying?
It was BTEC in business. Yeah, and then now about 4 months later, or 3 months in, I think about 2 months in now into the academic year, I'm now at Lambeth College, and they've given me this test to take to see where they kind of put me, and then I'm scoring so high,
crazy
that
high.
They're just so confused. They're like, "But I don't understand." So then they didn't put me in A levels there, even though I didn't get the 5 A to Cs.
But they did put you.
They did. They put me in A levels. Yeah, they were just like, "Yeah, this guy can clearly do A levels," So then I did my A levels there, but then I was caught in the life by then.
Yeah.
And by then I was a product.
Yeah.
I didn't leave my house without my level 3 bulletproof on. I didn't. Yeah. It was just I was a product then, It had got me.
And you're still running the gang?
The gang was that one actually. There was a mutiny. I became the thing that I loathed and hated the worst. I became a bully. Didn't realize that. Yeah, it was a corruption that took some time, But eventually, I started kind of just lording over some of my peers. Offering them out in quite embarrassing ways. I was pretty good with a one-on-one. I just I was always kind of a bit old school. I kind of loved fisticuffs. I'm not really so prone on weapons, but I did love a punch up, So I just if anyone kind of frustrated me in a certain way, I felt like they kind of crossed the line, I'll just kind of take off my top and say outside, and literally, and then.
And your own people as well.
Well, it had no off. It had no off. I wasn't intentionally trying to. I'm in that. It's just constant. As I said, the mask didn't come. I was taking it on and off, and then it's like that Jim Carrey mask moment. I just couldn't take off the mask. That I had become Locks. Couldn't see Carl at all. I was Locks, and not just Locks. They called me Locks a Million. I was Locks a Million. The Gen, whatever that was.
Was there anyone in your life that you trusted, that you believed in, that you knew were there for the good for you?
Yeah.
That constantly tried to shake you and wake you up to be like, come on, this isn't what you want to do?
Absolutely. I would say I had maybe 15 people in my life that were committed
that many
to
people, and you're still locks. No. There's that many people.
No, there's more against. Like, it's more compelling in the direction,
And are you getting what you set out? Are you?
Yes.
You're achieving your goals.
That's the issue. That is the issue. I want it to be. I feel like I want it to be seen. And not only did I want to be seen, but I wanted, when they see me, to not be afraid. And I became, arguably, probably wouldn't argue, the most popular street level gang member in London. Like, I was definitely top 2 or top 3 most popular, what they call roadmen. I was a roadman, So yeah, I'd achieved that, and I was able to give immunity to certain people. I could now, the bike. So I had this thing, and I still got it, where I park I place items very far from me. So I used to do so. It's so weird. Bikes are a big part of my life. It's weird. So I would have a bike, and let's say I would leave it on Trian Court.
Yeah.
And then maybe walk over to Furban Green, which is
unlocked.
Just
leaving it there.
I just leave it there.
Just to wait and see.
No one will take my bike. I just leave it there. And it's such a flip onto what was like I couldn't go.
Yeah, well, you're just proving to yourself you've achieved what you wanted.
It was weird. So I'll definitely say I did. Yeah, absolutely. But it came with a lot of pain. The byproduct, I didn't really kind of see that happening. The byproduct was, it was painful. Yeah.
So how did you gradually start seeing the other side?
I'll say like the successful
and taking the mask
out
off.
The 15, yeah. The successful out of the 15 was a woman called Pastor Mimi. Her son was my right-hand man in the gang that we were in. So, essentially she wanted to save her son, and she couldn't get through to him because of that kind of mother-son dynamic. You don't really hear what your mum has to say. You know? So she thought maybe if I can get through to his mates, that it could cross-pollinate.
And how old are you at this point?
18 and a half.
Still young,
Yeah, baby. Absolutely. Yeah, 18 and a half. I didn't feel like that. I actually had a mixtape coming out called 18 Going on 30.
Sums it up.
Literally, I mean, that was life. I felt like I was, literally.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, she was awesome. Like, it didn't start off that way. She actually, her major breakthrough wasn't with me. Her major breakthrough was with a young man who was part of that 20% of initiators who came from that generic dad wasn't there, mother was on a substance sort of kind of background. And I actually used to watch him convert crime into school uniform for him and his siblings. So it was a different twang to me.
Yeah.
That theft he was doing was for school shoes for him and his 2 younger brothers, So he had an affinity with crime
but for a very different.
I mean, I couldn't compare. He was younger than me and actually showed me most of what I knew in my early days about criminality.
Yeah.
And then after engaging in conversation with Pastor Mimi over a period of time, denounced criminality totally, I went to go get a job in McDonald's. And that for me, it again, like just shook my world. I didn't understand what was going on. I was confused.
And did you look up to this guy? You say he taught you?
In terms of criminality?
Yeah.
Yeah. Criminality. Gangsterism, no. I was higher up in terms of gang setting. But in terms of criminality and his affinity with criminality and how he kind of hallowed crime as a provider for himself and his siblings, I mean, to see him denounce it, that left an impression on me.
Yeah.
It piqued my curiosity, should I say. So I began to inquire. And then after
opening up something else,
then she began to infect me as well.
Did you see that as positive?
Initially,
Are you purposely sitting down?
Counterproductive. It was counterproductive.
Are you purposely sitting down and chatting with her? knowing what you're getting yourself into, aiming.
No way. I probably wouldn't have spoken to her. No way. Nah. No way.
But she's fully aware what she's doing.
She's fully aware. But mind you, she actually used to loathe my presence.
Yeah.
Because she used, in her mind, I was the one that was leading her son astray.
Making it all happen.
Yeah. So anytime she would see me come around, like she later on confessed when we began to actually work together to stop what was happening in the community. She confessed how she literally used to hate seeing me because she's like, this is the guy that's destroying, you know. And mind you, her son was just like, I'm here, her son's there. We're all like we're in this together.
Mum's not going to blame her own child.
No way.
No way. She needs to put that on someone else. Always.
You know, but literally it was just conversation, you know, and to a point where she had this. Her whole strategy was love, and as a verb, no judgment. I mean,
did you have much of that in your life?
No, because my parents judged me. Not in a way where they judge me like, oh, you bad person, but in a way like, oh, we expect more.
Yeah.
You know, it's still judgment, you know? But she didn't have that. She expected more, but I can't explain it. She just nailed it. She just, she was able to differentiate between me and the idea I had embraced.
Yeah.
It was a big difference between the person and the ideology. And she would be like, you know, you are not a gangster or gang member or a roadman. You have embraced this ideology of gangsterism. It's an ism, you know, and the way she believed that, you know. So, it was awesome. It was powerful. Must be honest. It did literally, I became addicted to our conversations. So first I started out of curiosity just to see what kind of bomb she had dropped on my mate. Went over there and got addicted to our kind of exchanges. And then each time.
And is she like qualified therapist or anything?
I think she had studied it.
Did she realise what she was getting herself into?
No, she didn't. She had the one sole ambition of saving her son, I would say. Yeah?
Yeah.
You know, like any mother would want to save their child. She knew that the best way would be able to go through his friends. Yeah? And she at that time thought maybe we were stealing phones, smoking weed on corners, you know, not knowing that like we've got firearms in her doghouse, in her garden, like that she's unaware of. You know, like it's kind of, we're not
she
in
wasn't
Kansas
aware what she was getting
anymore.
herself into.
Not at all. She did bite off, some would say, more than she can chew, but she chewed it, so I guess it's not more than she can chew, you know. But yeah, absolutely, it was a horrific revelations for her. You know, she was going through her own process.
Was she finding out gradually by speaking to you what was actually going on and what was happening?
Absolutely, yeah. I became very open with her, just as more open with her than I would some of my comrades. Yeah. Because I had to still save face with them. Yeah. Where with her, I could be a certain level of vulnerable.
You could be a little bit of Karl.
Yeah, a little bit of Karl. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that responsibility, that pressure on her for being aware and almost knowing inside that she's the key.
Yeah. And
how long were you chatting with her?
I said I haven't stopped.
You still chat with her now?
Yeah. She's I'm now part of a organization. I'm also a member and a contributor in her church. You know, she's one of my kind of pillars. You know, kind of one of my go-tos. Yeah, absolutely. Good people. You hold on to them. You know, so absolutely. We spoke, but in that period there, I would say our conversations really kind of peaked over maybe 6 months to a year. And then it became a point where I was no longer comfortable doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because I had actually convinced myself that we were doing what we were doing out of necessity. And that not only necessity, but this was for our advantage. That if we didn't do it this way, we are literally gonna fall on the wayside and literally we're gonna perish. Yeah. You know, and she kind of just rebuked that whole notion and just exposed the lie, you know. And she reminded me, I always say that she showed me or taught me, but I feel like she reminded me that my enemy wasn't actually the young men from across the road with my same socio-economic situation, same demographic, same, so most of them looked like me, like it weren't that they weren't my enemy. You know, it was the ideology that was riding us both, you know, that was actually the enemy. So I turned my energy and my focus on the ism, you know, and dispelling that from my life and my peers, you know, and yeah, over a period of about, I say 3 years with me living with her. I actually moved in with her.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
And your friend as well?
Moved in,
Is your friend going through the same process as you?
He didn't start it straight away, but yeah, it cross-pollinated. So
as you're shifting, he can see that change.
Absolutely.
And he's yeah.
You know, and yeah, we all began to go on it together, and it was a therapeutic community.
And other members of the gang or other people that are around you seeing this shift, being like, what the bloody hell is happening to you?
Absolutely.
Like we're going to do this next week. We're going to go, I don't know, do something.
Yeah.
You're not in on this. And you're like, nah, I'll give this one a miss, boys.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, absolutely. It was exactly that. It was subtle though. It was like, it was subtle. And then I was very clear also. So initially it was very subtle, and then I got very clear as to where I stand, you know? So I feel like the mix of the two helped for a smoother transition, you know? So initially it would be exactly that. Like we might just be driving and then we do actually see someone that we're at loggerheads with, you know? This is an enemy, or, you know? So by rights, like we've caught them what we call slipping. So we should, you know, get him. And I might just be like, oh, no, forget it. And they're like, what do you mean forget?
Like, what do you mean? What's going on? Yeah.
Like, he's right there, we can't. And I'm like, yeah, it's long.
And what do you mean by get him? Like, I honestly...
You don't know what I mean by get him?
I don't know. What are we talking? Like, just beating him up? Like, what? I've been serious.
Yeah.
I have no idea what would warrant him slipping by himself, being out and about.
I hear you.
In your area.
I hear you. I do hear you. I really, really hear you. Honestly.
I don't know what.
It all depends. There's just some, like, at that time there, as I said, if you can kind of like just imagine where we were, you know, and what it was, you know. And as I said, I've buried maybe 2 friends by now, you know, 3 friends by now, actually. Close friends I've buried. Like my immediate group, 3 of them, you know. And they didn't die of old age. So like they've lost their life due to the actions of maybe someone else, or, you know, so that is the playing field. Yeah. We're there, like violence begets violence, you know. Live by it, you know, that's just the code. So like getting them with whatever, you know, forever. Like that was the lay of the land then, you know. So it just depends on what was what, but yeah, just getting them, you know. Yeah.
So you're like a year into speaking with the pastor?
Yeah, Pastor Mimi.
Gradually changing.
I mean, everything's becoming uncomfortable. The drugs that I would normally bag up in the same location, calling my worker or workers, and literally I'm singing the money dance. It's like, you got the brains, I got the brawn, like, let's make lots of, like, I mean, it is a jubilation whenever the plug brings me in what it is, and I'm like, this is a great time. And I'm doing this exact same, I don't know, practice ritual that I've observed for God knows how many years now, and now it's tainted because now I'm thinking I'm making a living of other people's suffering. It was never a thing before, you know, like trying.
And are you thinking, why the bloody hell am I thinking this?
Yeah, I mean, like
you're now more confused than ever.
I mean, it was very counterproductive. You know, it just wasn't, before I had.
You were clear why you were doing it and what you were doing.
It made sense.
Yeah, and now you're doing it, but...
One man's freedom fighter, another man's terrorist. I must be honest. It doesn't actually matter the deed. It matters from what direction you're looking at it. You know, from what goggles. You know, and as I said, we weren't doing what we were doing knowing it to be wrong. That's the perception that the public has. Because not everyone has this, and it's a minority kind of mindset. They're not able to really understand, so they're looking at outside looking in thinking, these guys are doing bad, knowing they're doing bad. What bad people? We're doing bad thinking this is good for us. So the moment I'm realizing the bad is actually bad for us, I'm like, bloody heck, like, I'm not actually helping my friends. And the moment I realize I'm not actually helping my friends, I don't want to do it. I don't want to not help my friends. At first I thought I was helping. So yeah, eventually I just weren't comfortable being in that space. Occupying that place in my community. It didn't sit with me. And the moment I really knew that this weren't the way, and this wasn't actually my purpose, and there had been a huge perversion in terms of my destiny and what I'm meant to be contributing and who we're meant to be in society, I openly said, I can't do this anymore. And and that's when I said it went from being subtle to me being very straightforward. I told my mates, I was like, you know what? The feds told me stop. I never stopped this. Teachers would say, stop, you got potential. I never stopped this. My parents begged me. I never stopped this. Out of love for us and what we've created and what we were. But now that I've seen what I've seen, I've got to stop this. Yeah. This is not it. And I let them know. And I said, I'm sorry. I apologized. Like, literally, genuine, heartfelt apologies. I was dishing them out. Saying that, this can't be. It's not it. I don't believe in this. It's not true. And then eventually, like, some of them actually began to see that, they'll be like, I don't think this is true, It's like, they're like, no, kind of like, the game's, like, this game's not real. Like, this is not actually making sense. Like, why are we living like this? Why is this happening? Like, why is this going unquestioned? That is indoctrination. When you take it, you receive an idea or a concept or thing uncritically, no critique of it. We weren't questioning anything. It was just, this is just it. This is how it's meant to be. This is just life. And then we just began to question that. Like, no, like, maybe this ain't life. I think this is pretty much the opposite. This is death. Like, I've got friends that's been sentenced. My friend actually got sentenced to the highest any young person in this country has ever been incarcerated to in its history of being a country. Like, literally 45 years in prison, And I'm just like, what for? I'm really like,
this is what we set out to do.
I mean, what is this? Like, what for? Could that have been avoided? Like, is this a gain? Like, what does winning look like? Like, we at one point thought we were winning. Like, this is the definition of winning. Literally, like, there's a scoreboard, and we, as I said, I told at one time, we're at the top of the league, that this is winning. And I'm like, I think we've been calling losing winning for a very long time now. And then it was broken. It was broken. I couldn't endorse it. Didn't endorse it.
And did this have a massive knock-on effect on everybody that respected you? Like, have you seen this and your apologies of, guys, I'm really sorry, I feel like I've let you all down.
Yeah.
The idea that I've sold you isn't the right thing. And I've only just realised this. It's not that I've been screwing you over.
No.
It's just that I've just realised that what I've told you isn't true.
Yeah. But it was more like this idea came before me. So it weren't like I had created this thing.
No, not that you've created it. More just...
like, what I was helping peddle.
Yeah.
And being a part of. Absolutely. I was like, I mean, I was...
And were you not scared to say that?
Profusely, no.
But surely the fear of everyone turning around going,
do you know what?
You've lost the plot. Like,
these are just think about it. These are like family members. It's almost like someone that's like in the closet about something, and then, you have this whole heap of apprehension, that maybe, everyone's going to disown me or no one's going to love me again. But at the end of the day, it's like family, So it's not like I'm not dealing with like feral kind of like animals. Like, they got it. Like, they understood that, you know what? Once upon a time you believed in this.
The respect there.
Now
so
you don't
big,
believe in this. And then for those that didn't and weren't on that kind of level, fear kept them at bay for at least a couple years. They didn't want me to revert on them, So, so that kind of, all of it kind of helped. And then I had friends, one of my actual best friends he actually took over everything. He was the main kind of figure you know, and he was still my best friend, you know, so they also didn't want him to, you know, do what he's already doing, maybe in their direction, you know, so there was just so many different elements. And then as well, just being open to it, because eventually those things, like, they all kind of fell through. That actual friend, we actually ended up kind of convincing him, persuading him. He actually came on board as well and realized that that weren't the direction, that weren't the way, you know, and that weren't the definition of winning, and that's not life, you know. And then he denounced it also. And then we just kind of had our message, which was love. You know, we believed, like, I thought it was love before. That was, I mean, the only reason I was effective at being a gang member is because I am a lover. Like, I love hard, you know? So love made me stand in front of this, or stand up for this, or stand with them on that. You know, I thought it was love, you know? It was my expression of it. You know, I'm risking my freedom, carrying this over there for love. Like, it wasn't anything else. It had gone past wanting to be cool or having immunity or being seen. As I said, now we're at the top, you know, we're the upper echelon of whatever this is, you know? So, yeah.
Did your other friend, Pastor Mimi's son, side with you?
Yeah, absolutely. He came off as well.
Amazing.
We went on this journey together. As I said, it was hard as well, because the young men that I used to send to the shop and would probably be happy to go. I mean, not even probably happy. They feel like they've been nominated for, I don't know, like the first like trip commercially to the moon. Like, you know, they're ecstatic. Wow, Lokko has seen me and asked me to go to the shop for him. This is awesome. Yeah, these same young men are now looking at me in styles and in ways and for periods of time that they shouldn't be. You know, like it did flip on its head to the point where, like, yeah, I was being kind of like, just chastised for it, you know? Like, it was heavy. It was really heavy. And then also knowing that you ain't forgotten. Like, it's not like I have unseen what I've seen and unknown what I know. I got capacity, but I'm saying no to that because I don't believe in that, you know? And that meant I was taking a lot of L's, you know? Like just taking a lot of L's. Like, I mean, my life just became L. Like, my whole alphabet was L, you know, for a long period, you know? Yeah. So that no one wants to live that way, you know, being kind of mocked and kind of pushed and, you know, like, no one wants to do that. And as I said, we didn't move area. We didn't, like, you know, if we had the resources, we probably would have, but it was right in the midst of it, you know, right in the mix. So, yeah.
I think my favourite thing is just the common misconception of the world, thinking of gang culture being not what you thought it was when you were in it.
Yeah.
Of you genuinely feeling that what you're doing is positive and for love. And there's no doubt about that.
I mean, not even a flicker. Not even a flicker. Remember, take it from, these were my friends initially that I recruited. You're not recruiting your friends for something you think is poison.
Yeah.
You're not saying, oh yeah, let's all drink from this poison chalice. It's the opposite. It's the elixir of life. Like, let's all tuck in. You're my friends. Like, here. Like, let's enjoy this, you know? So it started off like that way, and like, obviously it just grew, but with that same essence.
With the same,
you know? So yeah, these are my brothers, you know? Do you know, it was always my thing. Like, you see, for me, I am a man of faith, yeah? And there's this one time where Jesus goes to go and get a particular disciple, yeah? And the guy's a fisherman, yeah? He catches fish for a living. He's like, all right, listen, stop being a fisher of fish. Come with me. I want you to be a fisher of men. I'm still a gang member. Like, there's no other way I can really put it. It's just that my gang is no longer just a certain demographic or a group of people. Like, I am batting for humanity. I'm genuinely batting for our collective destiny, you know. And there are, like, we live in a beautiful place we call Earth, where some are able to enjoy, you know, what it has to offer. And I just want more people to be able to enjoy, you know. It was very similar then, you know. After I denounced gangsterism, I was left with a kind of a clean slate, you know, and I had a lot of time on my hands, as you can imagine.
Are you working at this time?
You know,
are you still in college, out of college?
No. I mean, by then, it's like the colleges and these things are not like, they're not available for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like literally like I can't step out. As I said, like, I'm a hood celebrity when it comes to gangsterism and the culture in the community. You know, I've been peeing where I've been sleeping for a long time. It is very smelly. You know, there's just real life kind of situations, you know?
Yeah.
So after getting out, I actually turned to, and I didn't believe in mainstream education anymore, if I'm being honest, you know? I did feel as if it is us and them still, you know? So what I thought I'll do is that I'll be self-taught. You know, I'll learn myself. I'll make my own syllabus, you know, and it started with me reading a book a week, you know, and it didn't start off a book a week. It started maybe a book every 3 weeks. Then it got to a point where I read a book a week, and I did that for about 2 years. You know, I learned 10 new words a day to change my lingual syntax so that I'm able to, you know, I had a vision of being able to be a mouthpiece for those that feel like they've been forced to be speechless. You know, not that they don't have nothing to say, but no way to say it. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So I said, you know, I am going to, you know, manifest myself to be that microphone.
To be the voice, yeah.
You know, to be that voice, you know? So I ended up just developing that, you know? And yeah.
What made you want to be that voice? And, like, not everybody wants to do that.
But that's what I wanted to do at the beginning.
That's always been you.
I mean, you've
always been the leader.
Yeah, like I'm someone that's going to sound really weird. I feel like people on polar opposite kind of stations in terms of like public opinion, even output, can have the same motivations. So whether it be like a dark character, like a particular tanned president, or whether it be a saint-like figure like Mother Teresa, you know, I feel like as if they can almost have the same motivations. You know, someone else takes because it makes them feel good, the other one gives because it makes them feel good, but ultimately it's what makes people feel good, you know. And I kind of clocked pretty early on that I did like to help others feel good, or others feel like as if they were valid, or, you know, worthy, or powerful, or able. You know, that is my buzz. You know, and also I liked that for myself too. Yeah. You know, so I just want for myself what I want for other people, and I've always wanted that, and I just went about it the wrong way. I remember during my time of reading these books, I read Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, and I kind of saw, I draw parallels, you know. Maybe I forced it, but I saw a parallel, you know. And I was like, this guy initially went to go and learn guerrilla warfare in whatever country it was, Ethiopia, where he went. And then he's trying to learn guerrilla warfare in order to employ guerrilla tactics, you know, when he comes to South Africa for his people, because, you know, he wants the liberation of the black Africans there, yeah? And he was going about it the wrong way until he got his own kind of revelation, and was able to see that the way in order to actually tackle this is it's a political problem. You have to face it politically, you know. So I felt like myself, like gangsterism was my guerrilla warfare. I was using what I had available to me at that time there, and with my limited kind of context of this is how I'm gonna fight for myself and my people. And my definition of my people was very, you know. But life has kind of put me on a journey where, like, I'm very close friends with people uptown, you know, that I would have never even thought that I would even be in the same room as them, let alone actually call them a brother or a sister, you know. So now, as I said, I am still very much a gang member, you know, or a gang leader, and I'm just kind of pushing
a broader, different gang.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the same motive.
Same motive.
I think that's...
Same motive. Ain't changed. Fisher of fish to a fisher of men. Like, I mean, it ain't changed. I am still. And that, I don't think people like that, but that's just the reality. You know, yeah.
No, but I think people won't. I don't think people won't not like it. I think it's people haven't taken the time to understand it. That your motive has always been the same, and it's still the same till today. There's just different ways of seeing it.
Yeah.
What are you up to at the moment? What have you been up to the last few years?
Yeah.
To help create a different environment, a different space around that culture. Because I see you doing bits, man.
Yeah, love, bro, man. I would say the work I do with the Bransons is the adventure philanthropy. I love that on different levels. You know, it's an opportunity to have a captured audience of real kind of influential people.
And for everyone watching, what kind of stuff is that people...
What, the adventures?
Yeah, just for everyone watching.
So the adventures is like, so 2014 we kicked off going from London to Switzerland totally under human power. So literally 3 marathons in 3 days, rode the English Channel, cycle through France, trek through Switzerland and climb Matterhorn Mountain. You know, this ridiculous...
Sam did this with you?
Yeah.
Did Holly do this?
No, not 2014. She was pregnant at the time.
Ah, okay,
Yeah, pregnant at the time. 2016 she got involved.
Because I follow Sam on Twitter.
Yeah.
And his training, man. I remember him training.
It's not... Honestly, you can train as much as you want and you still haven't trained enough.
Yeah.
Because you just aren't able to mimic what you're about to go and do. You're going to be like on your feet for like 10 hours a day, 9 hours a day, non-stop movement. You know, it's just unreal, you know? But then we get to raise huge awareness. You know, as you can imagine, it's quite romantic going from one point to another, under human power, your own steam, get the right kind of attention. And then also kind of like we were highlighting on life skills and the importance of resilience and lived experience. And these are stuff that, you know, have enabled me to be socially mobile and to flourish in my own ways, life skills and lived experience. So any opportunity to kind of highlight that. And then we've raised we've been doing that for 6 years now? Mm-hmm. And we've raised over 6 million, you know, so it's effective. Yeah, you
unbelievable.
Know? So we're getting it done, bro. So got that side of things. I still do the charity work in the community, and that is heavily through the church that Pastor Mimi runs, and I support her with as well. Word of Grace Ministry, Youth in Action, also the charity side's called, and that's just mediation work on. We've been doing mediation work on. I mean. Off book, on book, without book, for book. I mean, like just...
Is that ground level just...
I mean, in the mix.
Yeah.
You know, we are in
everything,
the mix.
doing the bit.
It's in the mix, you know? So that's literally, at times, like, maybe standing in front of somebody that's about to inflict somebody else harm, and they just see you and know you as, you know, just an advocate for peace in the community. So just for the fact that they don't want to injure you, that's the only reason that person just then hasn't been injured. You know, that sort of mediation, not like the nice kind of stuff that you do because you wrote a policy somewhere, you know. So been doing that stuff. Writing a true fiction novel, you know, which I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying the reflection of it, but I'm also looking forward to what it would do, you know, because it is my story loosely, you know. And I say loosely. I wanted to call it
how's writing that going? What do you say, sorry?
I wanted to call it Blood or Catch Up at one time, so people can actually be guessing which parts is blood and which parts is catch up. Yeah. You know, which parts actually happened, what didn't actually happen. But it's not going to be called Blood or Catch Up. It's actually going to be called Mr. Should Be Dead.
I love it. I love it.
You know, so I'm enjoying that. The reflection's awesome.
Is that difficult writing that?
Yeah, I'm cold.
Taking yourself back to...
It is, but the guy I'm doing it with, he actually he's a great guy. He actually wrote one of the first articles on me that I actually enjoyed. You know, so we had that relationship from years ago, you know. And he's just a level-headed guy from a totally different walk of life, you know. But, you know, that's okay, you know. And when I share, he's taking it more for the story rather than, there's just no judgment. So it's safe to share, and yeah, I'm just enjoying that. It's weird though. Whenever I go back to it, I must be honest, unpacking it, because as I said, it was just kind of non-stop movement. I've just been moving. So whenever I kind of revisit it, I do feel some...
Getting back into that mindset,
feelings, there's lots of feelings.
Putting the mask.
I mean, the mask
comes back out.
And now I'm revisiting when I was wearing the mask without the mask. Being where you were with the mask, without the mask, it's not easy, man. You know, so... Yeah, but it's important. It's necessary, you know. So enjoying that, you know, that'll be out 2019. I've also got a poetry book that actually, if I'm being honest, it's called The Butterfly Effect. Because I'm a huge believer in the chaos theory anyway, in terms of small things, great ramifications, you know. Yeah. But I actually finished this book about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I think I finished it 4 years ago. The photographer's a guy called Gavin Watson. Oh, is it Watson? Oh, he's gonna crucify me. Gavin, but he's an absolute legend. Yeah,
has he been holding it up, Gavin? Gavin's pictures have been holding it up.
No. Gavin actually.
I thought you were calling him out here. No. I wrote the book 3 years ago. Gavin still hasn't done the photography yet.
No, not Gavin.
I was like, oh shit.
He did his photography, and he actually had a very similar. The energy of the book is about transformation.
Yeah.
He was one of the main skinheads in the UK, like prolific skinhead.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely came from absolute violence, drugs. But he actually moved to the rave scene, partying saved his life, and he actually documented a lot of from the rave, the transition. But he's been published everywhere. He's an absolute beast with the lens, you know. So he did all the photography for the book, and then the illustrator was actually a friend of mine, one of my closest friends, who actually was one of my workers on the streets. You know, she used to sell drugs for me. You know, she's a young lady. And she actually, like, she's the illustrator of the book, you know. So it's just got the energy and the essence.
Every single part of it has got the feeling,
just, you know. So that's going to be out also 2019. Therapeutic Community Gang Rehabilitation Center. So now, that was actually what the TED Talk, the main part of what I plugged in that was this rehab center. Wanted to create what I underwent in Pastor Mimi's house, but make it available to more, you know? And I've always realized that policies need to change to make that effective. What exists at the moment is a DRO, which is a drug referral order. But what needs to exist is a gang referral order. So let's say I'm the judge.
Yeah.
Someone right now has been presented to me because they stole this bike, but they actually stole this bike so that they can sell that bike to buy drugs. The issue is actually their addiction rather than them just wanting to have sticky fingers. So I can either send them to prison where like about 40% of the inmates get more addictions while they're in there. You know, it's seen as a crime college and it's not deterring them from anything. Reoffending rates is huge. It's like 60% or something ridiculous like that. Or I can send them to be rehabilitated, which is cheaper, more cost effective, and in the long term more effective.
And drug rehabilitation.
Drug rehabilitation. That exists at the moment, DRO. But I've been petitioning for a little while that gangsterism is like an addiction. You know, it has that same sort of pulling effect. I'm not saying on the chemical level, you know, but I'm just saying in terms of patterns, habits, fears, anxieties, you know, the trauma that's really embedded, that just keeps on getting this person perpetuating and kind of going in that sort of direction. You know, it's like an addiction. My actual coming off of it was like coming off of drugs. Yeah. And I know because I came off a drug at the same time, you know, so the resemblance is uncanny, you know. So want to create a GRO, so want policies to change. So I've actually just started my own think tank called New Eden, you know, and I've got some awesome big hearts, big minds that are supporting me on this. A guy called JB, who was actually COO of SoftBank for a period, which is a huge kind of massive kind of, like they had an 80 billion portfolio or something ridiculous, but he's just an absolute dude. He was actually, his dad was a butcher from Brighton.
No way.
Yeah, and he actually just really intelligent, went through like Cambridge and this kind of, he's just turned on, but he's got a great heart and he just wants to work on it with me, wants to take a sabbatical from corporate life and just do something that for him is like fulfilling.
Giving back, yeah.
And then a woman called Laura Millward, who's a absolute force of brilliance. You know, she just turned on. She was in to kind of research and that before. She's into really women's advocacy, and I've climbed mountains with her, run across countries, cycled across nations. You know, she's an absolute force as well.
I want to get involved
just in getting in, but man, we're taking the research is going to be really. So we're going to do like Churchill and just go to the undergrounds. We're going to literally just vox pop. Like forget like getting all of the like what else they're doing. Just get to the people, come with a camera, speak to them, record what they're actually feeling on the ground level. No more thinking about us without us. I hate think tanks like that.
Yeah.
I was actually I see they were trying to do some good. I worked with one think tank, I won't say their name. But it's more like, thinking about us without us.
Without, you know?
Including, You know, and then when they do actually, after doing the research, like even the papers they confront, like person X, Y situation, and I'm like, these are human beings with human stories, you know. So for me, like, I wouldn't even want it to be a word-heavy report that only government can read, because then what do you mean? It's not only government that should know about the problem and help to fix it.
Everyone.
So it's going to live as like a 7 to 10 minute documentary.
Nice.
They live on the YouTube, just kind of just informing the people that way. you know. So yeah, just try to shake things up, really, you know. So really excited about that. So yeah, those are the main things that I'm super charged about.
Just some small things.
Yeah, my man will get it done, my man. Honestly, I feel like I've been in training for this for a little while.
Yeah.
You know, I've lived a ridiculous life. I must be honest. Like if I'm in Atlanta, I'm with Martin Luther King's son at his residence, you know, just being serenaded with just, you know, just what that is, you know. Or if I'm in, like, it could be on Necker Island with Richard Branson, just hearing the great minds at Summit, like, you know, some of the world's shakers and movers.
Yeah.
Or, you know, just being, I mean, it's constant, and I just feel so full to the point where if I am not putting it out in a productive way that is really helping change things, it actually turns to poison. You know, it just becomes like, you know, it's almost like just gluttony.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why right now, 2019, we're pushing it all out, you know, getting it done, trying to really get people excited about, you know, politics, but not politics, you know, because just people. You know, politics for me is just like, it's the affairs that concern men, but yet, and when I say men, I mean like humanity, but yet humanity is not involved. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
You know, so I just want to just kind of flip that in many ways. So yeah, we're going to get to flip it, man.
Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to say? I feel like we've covered more than what I'm so glad that I didn't look into your story. I'm going to go back and watch it now. I'm going to go watch the rest of the TED Talk tonight. If you haven't already seen Karl's TED Talk, I'll link it down below. You need to check it out. It's first 7 minutes is unreal. I can't speak about the last bit just yet.
I think I ended it well. I hope so anyway. No, we're good for it. I don't know. For me, it's just more like, for me, it's just, so I got a poem, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'd like to recite the poem if that's all right.
Yeah. I'd love you to.
The poem for me is basically a better articulation of my transition, my change, what sparked it, what aided it, what made that happen. But we all need to change. Like, I must be honest. Like, even if it's as simple as changing our diet, to changing our kind of political kind of, like, I mean, we have to change.
Yeah.
And if we
you
don't
can't grow without changing.
I mean,
before you arrived here, the hour before, I was speaking to my therapist.
Yeah.
And I don't have her for a particular reason.
Yeah.
I just chat with her so that I can have another outlook on things that I do or say or act or however in my life that isn't influenced by my girlfriend's never going to say this or I should change this or that.
There we go.
So I've just got my Pastor Mimi.
Yeah.
Is my therapist just to expand my knowledge, my brain of how I'm doing everyday things and what I could tweak to improve.
There we go. It's healthy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've been able to, as I said, I drew, like, that is reaching. Like, I am not Nelson Mandela. You know, that was not guerrilla warfare in Africa. But I'm able to pull from that and see, because that's all we can do. It's all more, there's more in common than in difference. You know, so even though you may not be, like, as you said, it is your Pastor Mimi.
Yeah.
And that is the same thing, what's conversation. In order to see more than what you are seeing and maybe what your friendship group is bringing to the discussion.
Yeah.
You know, to give you more of a kind of leveled kind of, and we need that. The world blimmin' needs that. That's why I can stand, like, I've been fortunate enough to speak all over the planet and share my truth with whoever's willing to hear it, yeah? And it resonates. And they're not gang members.
Yeah, no.
You know? Just because it's just true. It's just human, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like blimmin' kumbaya, like, here we are. Let's just get it done, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, let me share this poem. Bear with me 1 second. Have you ever seen the eyes on the butterfly's wings? Deep. Deep like the gaze of a glorified king. For they can overwrite. They will overwhelm. Eternal like they appear from another realm, another world, another life. Yes, another life. I too have known another life, another state. I am a walking contradiction. I should have shared another fate. I know a butterfly's fame, but felt the caterpillar's pain. My cocoon was love. But who would love the caterpillar? Drug dealer. Who would love the caterpillar? Gang member. Who would love the caterpillar? No, they can only love the butterfly. They take pictures of the butterfly. They speak scriptures of the butterfly, but label a nuisance, we that couldn't fly. They say the eye is the window to the soul, so if you really look close, then you can see the caterpillar's pain in the eyes and the butterfly's wings. It stings. So strange is change, so great is love. Love is my cocoon. Change is not a contemporary art, nor is it a recent trend, for the butterfly has been from the era Eocene. So that means for 50 million years it's been standing as a proof that change is real and that change will come. So I say cocoon to the sky. For the butterfly is proof that the old me can die, so that the true me may live. So now the wingless has wings, but it took a while. Metamorphosis. It took a trial. It took a hug. It took a kiss. It took a smile. But let the truth be told, that this caterpillar was a butterfly all the while, just in need of that cocoon.
Love it, man.
Love, bro. Man.
Love it.
Love.
Thank you so much.
No,
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, man.
Honestly. Guys, I'll leave all of Karl's links down below. You can check out everything he does. And yeah, thanks again.
No, pleasure, man. Sweet. Top man.
Sick.
Top man.